Coming up, we've worked hard to bring you another great episode. You know what would make my day? If you listen, yes, but you can really make me smile by subscribing. You can go to offthenose.com or on whatever platform you're using right now. They all have that little subscribe button. Go there right now, click that, and boom, happy Kelly. If that's not enough, you can like us on Facebook, follow us on Insta and Twitter. You can share the episode with your friends or colleagues. So many options to show your love. But let's just start simple and subscribe today, right now. Don't put it off. You guys rock. Hey everyone. So I bet you never thought a conversation could actually cleanse you. Well, get ready because coming up we have Dr. Lindsey Elmore. She is CEO of herself. She is badass because she's CEO of Lindsey Elmore Enterprises. She is a wellness expert. She is going to tell us specifically what we should be doing to have the healthiest gut, the healthiest body, the healthiest mental frame of mind. What exactly do we take in? What should be supplements? What should come from what food sources? What's good on the shelves and what's not? What supplements should we take? What's bullshit? And what is the real deal? As she will explain, there is no better time than now. And she'll also tell you the truth behind COVID, and it's not what you think. Let's go with Lindsey Elmore.
Gotta get it how it goes now. You gotta take it off the nose. It's off the nose. Gotta get back in control now. Let's stop believing in ourselves. It's off the nose.
You are the CEO of yourself. Hello.
I know.
I love this. I'm like, she's the CEO of herself, the CEO. So Lindsey Elmore Enterprises. Congratulations, first of all, because
Thanks.
You hit a fork in the road, or you had a point in your life and you chose that, because we all have choice, right? So
I did.
Can we go back? Like, what was your environment growing up, and how did you know to take that path? You chose education and to get your PhD. How did you know to do that?
Oh, well, I was always a natural born teacher. When I was a little kid, my mom, I was blessed to have my mom stay home with me when I was really young. And so she always played creative games with me. And she still, even to this day, is just excellent at playing with children and getting their mind going. And when I was really young, I loved playing school. So I would set up a schoolhouse and I had a chalkboard and I was the teacher and, explored spelling out words for the first time on that first ever chalkboard. I loved experimenting in the kitchen as I got a little bit older. At my 6th birthday party, I got really pissed off because my grandmother and my mom had made all of these super cute tutus because it was a ballet party and I was teaching a ballet class and the party goers were not paying close enough attention.
Oh.
So I was always a teacher, and I went to high school and I became a performer and I loved being on stage. And even before then, I loved acting. I loved singing. I loved dancing.
Are you a Leo?
And no, I am not.
Okay.
Take another guess. What's your next guess?
I don't know the signs that well, but I know strong and wanting to perform and be in the spotlight. I think Leo,
yes.
but
yeah. So I'm an Aquarius, okay. But I'm a very strong opinionated Aquarius. And so, yeah, I always liked being in the spotlight. And I told my mom that I want to be an actress and I want to be a singer and a dancer. And she was like, no, you're going to have a real job. So I also really like science. My mom is a nurse and she had been taking me to work with her since I was about 13, 14 years old. I started filing charts. I helped take patients to the room. I eventually got old enough to where I could answer phones and all of those things. I go to college. I'm pursuing a degree in chemistry. I decide I want to go to medical school. And then I started studying for medical school, and I was like, oh, I don't want to go to medical school.
Yeah.
And
dancing across the stage or med school, I'm trying to see.
Two completely different things. And so I decided I didn't want to go to medical school. And I was like, okay, I'm going to get a PhD in chemistry.
Yeah, because that's obvious.
Oh yeah, I mean, I have a degree in chemistry, so I was pursuing it. So it felt like an obvious progression. Thankfully, a lot of the women in my life who had PhDs in chemistry were like, I don't think it's your personality. I think you can do something different. I don't think you'll be happy being inside this lab all day, just 15 years for a paper to come out. And they just said, it's not you. And I was like, well, crap, now I have no life plan. And one day, one of those women comes into the pharmacy and she says, I know exactly what you should do. You should be a pharmacist. And so
I was interact with people and
you can interact with people. It leveraged the science knowledge and the chemistry that I had. It also leveraged the exactitude with which I was willing to work, because I was at the time working in an organic chemistry lab, which is a very exacting science. And so I always had big dreams, wanted to go and see the world. So I applied to 2 schools of pharmacy. Now, remember, I was born and raised in Alabama. I applied to 2 schools of pharmacy, both in California. I managed to get in to the #1 school of pharmacy in the United States. Decided I still like being the center of attention and being on stage and speaking and acting in front of people. So I ran for class president. I served as class president for a couple of years. I ended up going on to go into my postdocs, where I really learned more about the advanced practice of pharmacy and what pharmacists can really do. And that whole journey, plus the fact that I tore my ACL when I was in pharmacy school, and that landed me in a chiropractor's office, in an acupuncturist's office. It led me to meeting my first
so you're
shaman.
getting exposure to these different alternative medicine. Okay.
So going through that whole journey of getting the exposure to alternative medicine, knowing that I, at my heart of hearts, love performance and being in front of people, and realizing through the practice of pharmacy that it was a way for me to take very seriously my oath as a pharmacist, which commands that I put the welfare of my common man and the relief of suffering at the center of my practice. And I realized, oh my gosh, I can genuinely help people to feel better. They can feel better in their daily lives. And it's not about doing it all perfectly. It's about doing subtle things each day. And so I ended up finding essential oils and tons of supplements and yoga and meditation. And I ended up founding companies and all these things that I loved, vegan cooking, all the things. And that led me ultimately to become a business coach, business strategist, helping people to understand sales and marketing in a way that really helps them authentically reach the correct audience who wants to hear what they have to share.
Say. Yeah. Sometimes those two don't line up in the beginning.
No. I think people sometimes are scared to make themselves vulnerable.
Yeah.
And scared to tell you the transformational story of like how your life sucked at one point and now it doesn't. I think people try also to make themselves the hero of the story.
Our ego comes out.
Yeah, the ego comes out. And so instead of what we need to be doing as entrepreneurs and as marketing and sales people is, number one, you have to find a problem that you know how to solve. How did I get popular on social media and turn it into a business? Well, I realized that there was a problem in that there are a lot of outrageous claims about essential oils and herbs and supplements.
I don't know what you're talking about, Lindsey.
I mean, everybody has read something that is completely just nuts.
I know.
And it makes it inauthentic. It makes it inauthentic. So I approached everything, be it yoga or Ayurveda or essential oils or a vitamin or a mineral or even a food, a cooking style, whatever. And I said to myself, how do I frame this as I would frame it as if I were talking about a medication? Okay. So I could think
Give me
about
an example.
I could think about a yoga practice and decide, okay, how often does someone need to do this? How many minutes do I suggest someone does it? Are there any people to which this might be harmful? What might be the side effects that someone would look out for to know that they're doing themselves harm? The same thing can be done with an essential oil. What are the risks? What are the benefits? Who are the most likely people to be at risk, and who might find benefit? You know, we can talk about natural products in a way that is based in science and is logical and rational and meaningful. I found out that was a problem. I found a solution to it in that I knew I had a talking head that, you know, I could just gab about this. And I also knew that I had the authority as well as the empathy to help lead someone.
Which,
you know,
are critical in any industry.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
In every industry.
So you're bringing your education as your credibility. And so literally, how are you using this organic chemistry and pharmacy, you know, background? You did have your residency. I mean, it wasn't like you just immediately went on to the CEO of you.
No.
You had some other things along the way. So how do you literally use some of that education now?
Well, okay. So my primary income source comes from my website. So as I said, as entrepreneurs, we find problems and we solve them in creative ways. And then we talk to other people who also have that problem. There was a problem that there was no logical, reasonable place to talk about essential oils and supplements in my sphere.
Yep.
And so I created an online educational platform that said, hey, if you want to learn rational, reasonable science information in this sphere, here's the most comprehensive database of this type of education that's ever been created. Here it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is one way that I turned it into entrepreneurship. And that has opened doors for me to be able to talk about other things that I'm passionate about. And it's also, now that I'm 4 years into owning my own company and have employees and have a team and all of the things, that has opened doors for me to mentor other health and wellness entrepreneurs. And this year I made the special commitment to really get back to knowing pharmacists, because I haven't practiced in 6 years now.
What do you mean by that?
So I haven't practiced pharmacy in 6 years. And so if I'm not working in a hospital or at an academic institution, all of those things, it can bring you out of touch with the way that you can get rusty. And even more importantly, I realized that I might not be the only pharmacist out there who believes that stress and the food that you eat and the relationships that you have and the sleep that you get and all of that really matters in your health. That's really matters. And so this year I just said, look, open some doors for me, universe. Let me know where I need to show up. And I am going to say yes to every opportunity that comes to me in the realm of pharmacy. I will apply to be on committees. I'm going to rejoin some professional organizations. If someone says, Lindsey, can you teach a continuing education? I will say yes. All of those things.
Isn't that what it's all about? That's why you're the CEO of you. And I know I keep saying that. You are literally, it's Lindsey Elmore Enterprises. So I don't want to take anything away from that. I just love that you are the CEO of you, because we all should be.
Yeah.
But isn't that what it's all about? Saying yes?
I think it's about saying yes to the right things and saying no to the wrong things. I mean, one of my employees was listening to a podcast the other day, and she said, Lindsey, they asked the most profound question. They said, look back in your past month. What are the top 3 things that you said yes to that were your best yeses? What were 3 things that you said no to that were your best no's? So for me, I'm in a time in my life where I know I want to make more connections with pharmacists. So if someone says, Lindsey, there's this pharmacist who works for this company, do you mind doing a 15 to 30 minute just chat with him? Sure, absolutely.
Right.
And so if that is where your intention is, that you want to grow in a certain area, you say yes. But that also means that you have to say no to things in areas where you're trying to move away from.
So let's talk about the food, and I'll include in everything we put in our mouth, because essential oils and supplements, food, how much does all of that play a part with our mind? Because I believe in that connection. You explain it from your perspective. What is that connection?
Oh man, there is so much to unpack in that question. So what goes into your body is critically important, because when you think about how your body works, your brain, so let's think about when we eat. When we eat, one of the things that happens is we are evolutionarily built to divert energy from our brain into our stomach. And we are evolutionarily built to say, oh crap, I might not get another meal for like a week. I better absorb all of this right now. This is why we think about having that brain fog after we eat. And so we think about the nervous system as something that is just our brain and spinal cord and the things that make us move and that make us sense pain and such. But we don't think about what's the enteric nervous system. The enteric nervous system is our gut brain, and it has over 100 million nerve cells that go from your esophagus all the way to your rectum. And when we disturb our enteric nervous system with either foods that are inflammatory, or with chronic stress, or with excessive amounts of alcohol or other common toxins that we may take in from the environment, this can lead to big emotional shifts, because it changes the way our neurotransmitters are produced within our guts. But it also can lead to physiological manifestations like irritable bowel syndrome and constipation and stomach upset and all of the things. And so there's a lot more research that really needs to be done.
There's a lot about our guts, right? I mean, right now you hear a lot of conversation around that, a lot of challenging probiotics and different things.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, it's one of those things. As soon as we all of a sudden have a drug that treats leaky gut, it will be on everyone's tongue.
Yes.
But you can work on your gut right now, ensuring that you have the proper balance of microbes, not only in your gut, but on your skin, on your hair, on your teeth, all the things. A friend of mine that I interviewed the other day, it was so interesting. She said everybody talks about the microbiome, but nobody talks about the virome. And so right now, it seems like virus is right on the tip of everyone's tongue.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Well, we have bacteria, we have viruses, but then we also have bacteriophages, which are slightly different little molecules, and they're slightly different little bugs that are somewhere kind of in between. And I certainly, for any immunologist listening, they're probably twitching at the moment because I don't understand it as well as a lot of people do, because it's a concept I just heard about. But she maintains that just like humans have symbiotic relationships with parasites, we can have parasites all throughout our entire body that aren't really doing us much harm.
Any harm.
It may, it may gross you out that you might have some worms in your gut, but you've probably had them there your whole life.
Yep.
So what you gonna do about it? She maintains that we also have low underlying viruses and bacteriophages that can help to protect us from other types of infection. So the microbiome, this proposed virome, all works in balance to keep us really, really healthy. And when we keep our gut healthy and we avoid inflammatory foods, we avoid eating things that, come on, you feel bad after you eat that 1,200 calorie whatever it was at
from wherever,
at the local restaurant,
yes,
that was processed like 4 weeks ago and has been sitting in some freezer and went into a microwave. You don't feel good. There's nothing glamorous about being like, unless you use it as a badge of honor, there's nothing glamorous about eating kale salad. I'm sorry. Nobody likes massaging kale. It's not a thing. But when you feed your body whole foods, it's undeniable how much better that you will feel. And so,
can you say that there are some things everybody's different, and at different stages in our life, our body seems, if you're listening to it, seems to want or need different levels of different things. But you're still, if I'm hearing you correctly, saying that there are still general statements that should apply to everybody.
Well,
don't eat crappy food. Don't eat.
I think the general statement that applies to everyone is the stress you experience, the sleep you either get or do not get, the cleanliness of the water that you decide to take in, and the foods that you eat, and the relationships that you have with not only your immediate peeps, but your community at large. All of those things matter. So, we've all known the life of the party, the happy-go-lucky, the guy who's out there who's got all the social connections. Everybody in town knows him. He may drink like a fish, but because of the fact that he has this amazing social connection, it keeps him vibrant. It keeps him going.
So it's his balance. It's his.
Yes.
I like to talk about things as pies, but his pie might look different than my pie. But overall, you're going for balance.
You're going for balance. And it's not what you do one time that matters. It matters what you're willing to do every single day. So if that means that you're willing to meditate for 30 seconds every day, that's better than 0 seconds.
And probably better than doing it once every month, once every 2 weeks. Right.
Right. If you are willing to go from 3 cups of coffee a day to 2, that's better than 3, and 3 is better than 12. And so, I don't think that we encourage change in our life because nobody wants to change. We all like doing all of our vices. Let's be honest. That's why we like them. But when we say, okay, I want to make the conscious effort to get up earlier every morning. If you try to go from getting up at 8:30 in the morning to getting up at 5, you ain't gonna make it, friend.
Nope.
But if you go from 8:30 to 8:25 for 3 days, and then 8:25 to 8:20 to where you barely even notice it, all of a sudden you're up at 5 a.m. doing that hour long of listening to inspirational podcast or personal development podcast and reading for 30 minutes and doing your 15 minutes of yoga and all of these things that those 3 hours used to just be while you were asleep.
Right.
You know?
So go easy on ourselves and don't get overwhelmed. Don't set out to climb Mount Everest, and create a little plan.
Yeah.
Piece
If
by
you want to
piece.
climb, if you want to climb Mount Everest, why don't you spend like a year at base camp first? Think of your business that way.
Yes.
And think of your health that way. One of my favorite yoga mentors said it so much better than I could ever say it. And he said, how long did it take you to get into this body? And I'm like, this is my age, so it took me this long. He said, why do you think you can get out of it overnight?
Love that.
That we're in this body. And so you might as well take it slow and gentle and be kind to yourself. And one of my guiding principles as a pharmacist was anybody can tell me anything. They will meet absolutely no judgment from me. Wherever they are, I will meet them exactly there. So you could come to me as your pharmacist and say, Lindsey, I want to book an appointment with you online. And you can show up and tell me that your blood sugar has been 350 for the last 2 years.
Yep.
And I'll say, great, then let's start from there. What'd you eat today? And I'd ask a series of questions. You have to be just that gentle with yourself. If you show up for yourself and you say, I'm fat, I've put on 30 pounds in the past 2 years, I have no desire in bed anymore. I have no desire. I'm just ugly and I'm worthless. Stop yourself right there and just say, don't talk about my friend that way. Just don't. No. So you got to show up where you are. If you have fallen into patterns of drinking 6 sodas a day and then transitioning to 6 beers at night or 12 beers, cut down to 11. That's where you start. That is where you start.
How do you feel? I mean, you're educated and an expert with essential oils, supplements, and then of course there's nutrition. I certainly have always been a supporter of all of the above, but recognizing that the ultimate best thing is to get it directly from fresh, produce, to get it directly from the source of the food. So how do you help people with that, who some innocently say, okay, I didn't get enough of X, Y, or Z, so I'm going to take a supplement. And then of course we've got a large group of people that are looking for the magic bullet.
Yes. Oh my God. I will tell you the magic bullet does not exist.
Damn it.
Think about
Show over.
I know.
I mean, I promoted this
we're done.
all week that you were going to give the magic bullet. Damn.
Yeah, I tried to show up. I've been doing research for years. If we had found a pill that made us all happy, healthy, in perfect relationships with amazing sex lives to where we never got gray hair and we always stayed thin and active and able to do everything that we wanted to do until we were 100 years old, and then we just poof, die. We would have figured that out.
Yes.
But it's not a thing. It's absolutely not a thing. And so again, I meet people where they are. If someone says I am on a journey where I know I'm on a ton of medications that deplete nutrients, well, adding in supplements can be an excellent way to help that person feel better. Of course, the best way to obtain nutrition is from food. Why? Because protein, fat, carbs, vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin D does not make a healthy person. All of the ways that nutrients work together and support one another is so powerful. So I'll give you an example of how it works when we think about plants as the way that we get our nutrition as opposed to a supplement. If you think about marketing, why do we drink milk? Why do we drink milk? What is the number one nutrient you need? What is the number one nutrient that you need?
For our
calcium.
bones.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Here's the problem with calcium. Calcium is basically completely ineffective without the concomitant help of magnesium, vitamin K2, and vitamin D. Without the vitamin D, you don't absorb it from your gut. Without the vitamin K2, you can't effectively assemble it into bone structures. And without magnesium, you can't take that calcium and push it into your bones or teeth from your bloodstream. The
So does regular milk on the shelves in our grocery stores have all of that?
No.
No.
If you're lucky, they have fortified it with vitamin D.
Okay.
But calcium is found within milk, but calcium is also found in very high quantities within leafy green vegetables. So within spinaches, within kales, etc. The great thing about obtaining your vitamin or your calcium, from a plant-based source is chlorophyll is what takes sunlight and helps to produce all the oxygen and everything. Chlorophyll, which is found in all plants regardless of color, has a big magnesium ion sitting at the center of its molecular structure. So if you think about being back in the day, you are getting your vitamin D because you're out there picking your plants. You're getting your calcium as well as magnesium in balanced ratios. And then your vitamin K2 could perhaps be coming from some of the more red pigments within your plants. And so if you've got, like I did, I picked some curly kale this morning that's got in its rainbow, it's got red,
Sure.
It's got green. I was outside getting some vitamin D. So you're getting all of these different molecules working together in unison so that you don't end up with isolated calcium, because guess what happens when we have isolated calcium?
What?
It sticks around in your blood vessels. It then sticks to the fat that you are getting from the cholesterol as well as the saturated fat from the dairy product that you're consuming. And that leads to calcifications. So you calcify your arteries and calcify the plaques.
So why wouldn't they just put all that in the product? Or is that
They could.
a more loaded question? Why don't we all do the right thing all the time?
I mean, it is one of those things. It's, you could put it in, you could get it from a multiple vitamin, or you could just go outside and obtain it from plants as well. So,
Sure.
I'm a big proponent, and I don't care what you eat. I can help you work around anything. And there are definitely certain people who they feel like they're more built to require dairy and meat-based products. But we know dairy is hugely allergenic,
Dairy is a nightmare.
So much mucus, and it's addictive. When people say I'm addicted to cheese, that's not an incorrect statement. You are actually physically addicted to 𝐂𝐎𝐶, which are binding the morphine receptors within your brain and causing the same cascade of effects that happen when you take an opioid drug.
This is in cheese specifically?
Casein is found within most dairy products. It also can be isolated from dairy products. And so you'll find it in a lot of processed foods as well, because it is very tasty. It is addictive to our brain. And then it also helps to hold foods together.
But you won't find casein in organic products.
Oh, no. If you're drinking organic milk, you're totally drinking casein.
So it has nothing to do. Okay. So it's really more.
No, it's naturally occurring. Yeah, it's naturally occurring. Absolutely. It's just there. It's present within cheeses and dairy products. And so again, it's up to you. But if you are wondering like, oh my gosh, what's going on in my gut? Give it a go.
Give it a go.
Just try things out.
And how long, Lindsey?
What's effective.
They say 3 weeks to create a new habit or to get rid of one. Do you think that's true on food, or do you think that food can happen quicker?
It depends, I think, on the amount of joy that you're able to inject into the routine. You know what I mean? It's like there are times that we try out a diet or a cleanse and we go into it with, this sucks. I'm not getting to eat the foods I'm used to. I'm not this. I'm not that. But can we find ways to celebrate and make it fun and entertaining for the family? You know, if I know a lot of parents are finding themselves having to teach their children these days. Is there
and teach?
Yeah.
Yes.
Is there a way, maybe they've got a history lesson about, World War I. Could you look at what are contemporary staple foods of countries that were involved within World War I? You could have fun and even look at fallen empires that happened. Like, what were the staple foods that these people ate? Because most of those ingredients are still around. So you can find ways to inject joy into it. I do think you can break the addiction to sugar pretty dang quickly. Yeah. It's not easy. It sucks for a while because sugar is...
You'll literally withdraw.
Oh, it is arguably more addictive than heroin or nicotine. And so, yeah, you're going to literally withdraw from it and it is going to suck and it's not going to feel good. But do that for 3 weeks, do that for 2 weeks and come back and just taste some sugar and you'll be like, blah,
that's what happened to me.
This?
Yeah. When I was 14, I decided to not eat meat and become vegan. And of course, that's evolved from back then to what that means now and the amount of information out there and people like you and so forth. So it's better. The products that are available as well, so much better, that make it a lot easier for people to transition, because not everybody wants to have a garden in their backyard. Not everybody wants to cook at home. And so I think that's part of the challenge with getting people to come over to the healthy side. Is it's just because our life is so fast moving, it's just not realistic to come home and cook a dinner and pick fresh vegetables from the garden and sit down with your family every night. It's just not realistic. So then people tend to say, that's too hard. I'm just not going to do it at all.
Right. But can you sit down with your family once a week?
Totally.
It doesn't have to be this all or nothing thing. And, it boggles my mind. It happens every single year. January 1st, I'm going to spend 2 hours a day in the gym.
It's the worst time to go to the gym because
it's so annoying.
I tend to get really bitchy. I'm like, who are all these people? I should be celebrating the fact that my sisters and everybody are getting in shape. And instead I'm like, that's my treadmill. That's my space. And y'all are, you're not even going to last. So
I know. And we see it every single year after year after year. People who come in with completely unrealistic expectations of what to expect out of themselves. And so, so I struggled with my mental health this year. I'll just lay it straight out there. I think a lot of people have. It has been a stressful year. And my partner and I, we were up in New York and he and I looked at each other and we were just like, let's move. Let's just go. Let's get out of New York City and let's just get out. And so we did. We moved. We settled in for about a week and a half and he and I look at each other again and it's like, do you want to do a cleanse? And we were like, yeah, let's do it. I host a cleanse every year, help people do plant-based for the 21 days. We 21 do an optional extension.
Is that the book you wrote, the book Clean Slate Cleanse?
Clean Slate Cleanse cookbook and workbook.
That's around that idea? Okay.
Totally. So if you've never gone plant-based and you say, I just want to give it a go, you can come and check out the Clean Slate Cleanse. But he and I were like, what if we did it for 30 days this go round? And so we were like, okay, well, we've done it for 21. So this time, we're on day 18 or 19 now. It's great when you start losing count when you're on a cleanse. That's
usually
the best.
the red marker is out. It's like, good. How many more days?
Right. The first time I did it, oh my gosh, I was red markering it. I was like, oh, somebody get to the end of this. And by the time you get to like day 20, you're like, good enough.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah,
almost the 20th. Yeah.
Yes, I know. It's almost the 20th.
You seem great. You seem great. You seem happy and healthy and calm and.
Well, number one, I've done it a lot of times. I'm going on 11 years of doing different variations of the exact same wheat-free, sugar-free, alcohol-free, caffeine-free vegan cleanse.
What's the hardest part for you?
Well, I don't drink much caffeine, but I do love my green tea. And honestly, there's some evolving research that the caffeine that you get out of coffee and sodas may be different than what you're getting from yerba mate or matcha green tea. So I'm a little bit flexible on myself on that. But girl, I love a cocktail at the end of the day. There ain't nothing like sitting on the front porch in the rocking chair.
That would be my hardest part.
Yes. Oh, it's tough. It really is. But you also have to take a step back and go, if I can't walk away from my vices for like 30 days,
then I might have a problem.
If you have a vice in your life that it holds you back, it's not the healthiest behavior that you can do, I think it's important to take a step back and go, okay, well, I'm just going to take a 30-day break from that. I know it's not the best thing for me, but I'm going to do that. And I'm going to give it 30 days. If you can't do that, then that may be something that you need to get out of your life permanently, because it's no longer a vice. It is an addiction that you've lost control over.
Completely.
And
with cleanses, not to put words in your mouth, so you correct me if you're wrong, but when I've done cleanses, I think people might think that these are completely about food. And it is a mental game that you can rock and you can embrace and kick ass by saying, shit, I can do anything for 4 days, 10 days. It's a mental thing more than it's about changing your food habits.
This go round, I've added in some intermittent fasting. And intermittent fasting,
that's on my list to try.
Well, I'm going to be sharing my experiences on social media. I am doing something. It's not my program. It's Dr. Alejandro Younger's.
Okay.
And it is called the Clean 7. And it takes into account, dietary cleanses, elimination diet. So eliminating big old allergens, which is basically what I've been doing for the past couple of weeks. The second thing it takes in is Ayurvedic medicine. So looking at how is your constitution built? Well, I get real sad to even say it out loud, but according to Ayurveda, I am not supposed to eat garlic and onions. And so I'm going to figure out what life looks like without garlic and onions next week. Okay. Oh my God. Can I even I've never tried.
But and garlic is known to be, I don't want to call it a superfood, but the food you should include. But you're saying,
it's been shown to help lower cholesterol. It's not just for me. In traditional Buddhist monasteries, no alliums are included in the Buddhist monk diet. So no garlic, no onions, no leeks, no scallions, no pearl onions. So alliums are thought to bring a lot of fire into the gut, which for someone like me who's in Ayurveda, I am a Pitta person. I am fire and I am water. And so it may not be somebody who needs that kind of digestive fire. And according to Buddhist principles, alliums also, because of their aroma, distract you from your meditation.
That's what I thought. That's where I thought you were going to go. And so that's where there truly is this connection. I almost wonder if the best advice to people is to maybe work on your mental and some meditation prior to trying to do a big shift in food, because it's almost getting stronger in your mind. If you can get stronger in your mind, you can will yourself to do anything.
Well, I think it works both ways. You can change your body to change your mind, or you can change your mind to change your body. So, I think it's great. Since I moved here, especially since my mental health took such a hit earlier this year, I was like, okay, I want to get back. So I'm challenging myself to do 100 days of gratitude. And it's like, it may not seem like much, like whoopity-doo, you're challenging yourself to write one sentence every day. Yeah, I challenge you to do one sentence every day of gratitude for 100 days.
Yeah.
And, and really sitting down, and I started meditating again, and I had lost touch with my meditation practices. And I also realized that my yoga practice, I realized was so much more about community. And I have mourned the loss of having a community of people to breathe with.
Yes.
And so,
and Zoom just doesn't cut it.
No.
Because there is shared energy in that shared space. Yeah.
There's shared energy, there's shared vibration, there is shared intention. There is shared aromas, which bind us to other people, similar to how essential oils engage with our emotional brains. Pheromones that people put off while they're sweating engages with our emotional brains. And there's also something that binds you to other people when you do something hard together.
Yeah. Yes.
There's a reason that I'm still great friends with the people I went to pharmacy school with.
Yep.
We went through something extraordinarily hard together, and I just put my collective energy towards everybody. Basically in the entire world has been through something hard together. We can come out on the other side better than when we began. I think a lot of people mourn the way the world used to be, and everybody says, can't we just go back to the way things were? I firmly believe we will never go back to the way things were.
I agree.
And it is our collective job right now to cast a vision with each other about where do we want to see the world go? Where does the world go from here? You can either be a beacon of progression and growth and moving forward and casting more light into the universe, or you can continue to fret and moan and, grieve about the fact that you don't have control over what's going on in this world right now. We never did. We just had the false illusion that we did.
Right.
And now that illusion has fallen, and we understand that, wait, this is not what I signed up for, friends. I did not sign up for this.
Right. But the truth is, a lot of the barriers that we had are gone. And so it's sort of this blessing in disguise. I only see it as a positive, even though I have the utmost, sympathy for people who have lost jobs and are struggling. But there are huge opportunities. We are forced to be home. We have time. We don't have to commute. We don't have to eat out because we can't eat out. You're forced to be able to make positive changes. It's right there in front of you.
Well, and one of the things that really struck me in that arena about making positive changes is, about a month or 6 weeks into the whole craziness, I saw so many people talking about their quarantine 15 and how they had put on all this weight. And I took a step back and I realized that both me and my partner had lost weight throughout the entire stay. And that is nothing more than a testament to the fact that we don't bring junk into the house.
Yes.
And that could be something absolutely transformational that really doesn't take you that much time. It doesn't take you that much effort. It is so much easier to maintain healthy lifestyle habits if you don't have the option for the unhealthy ones.
Right.
You know, if you simply don't have the option to grab a bag of chips or grab a processed sweet or to grab that cup of coffee that has 45 grams of sugar in it, all of a sudden it's like, well, wait, why did I do that in the first place?
Right.
Now is really a time where people can take even more profound care of themselves.
And should. I mean, we talk about wearing masks and socially distancing. I really wish we were talking more about what you're talking about, what we're putting into our bodies, because there's got to be a connection between people who react to COVID one way and people who don't. And I'm just a huge believer in, what are you doing for your immune system? Are you getting vitamin D every day? Are you exercising every day? What kind of food are you eating? Are you mentally connecting with people, even though connections look different? And if you're doing all those things, I think you are a couple steps ahead should you get this horrible disease.
Yes. I mean, okay. So I am going to say one thing to slightly disagree with what you just said.
Please correct me.
We need to stop calling coronavirus a disease. You know what it is? A short-term infection.
Okay.
It is an infection.
Think of it as the flu.
Yeah. Think of it as a different respiratory infection. We know lots of respiratory infections, be it influenza A, influenza B, be it a pneumonia caused by strep pneumoniae or by Pseudomonas aeruginosa. We know a lot of different respiratory infections. Not all of them do we have such pronounced stress responses to as we have had in the past couple of months. And I think that when we approach self-care and when we decide that, hey, my health and wellness is fully within my own control. It is fully within my own control. We can then take a step back and go, well, dang, if I'm stressed out, that completely hijacks my immune system, which raises my cortisol levels, which causes me to be less likely to combat bacteria and viruses. If I don't have vitamin C in my body, my immune system does not function. If I don't have digestive enzymes within my gut and healthy gut bacteria, I don't absorb nutrition from my food. If I have a relationship with a horrible spouse who I've been intending to leave for the past 5 years and I've just been drinking alcohol every night instead, that means that you got something else that's impacting your immune system and your overall vitality. And yes, I think a lot of people, we're finally reaching that moment where I think a lot of people are saying, guys, can we stop talking about we have to do all of these things that we've never done in human history? We've never done. Have we had quarantines in the past? Of course. Quarantines of sick people. You know, have we overwhelmed our hospital systems in the past? Of course, in small isolated pockets. We have never done the social experiment of saying that every single person needs to treat every single person in the world as if we were viral vectors.
I like that term, viral vectors.
Well, that is what viruses do. So this whole bloody thing of like, how long does coronavirus last in the air? Well, we've known for 100 years that viruses don't last long in the air because viruses are only active and available for replication when they are inside of a vector. So the vector may be a mouse, it may be a human, it may be a this, it may be a that. But I don't think that people really want to take a step back and go, if we tested for lots and lots and lots of different viruses, you may find out that you are infected with way more viruses than you've ever thought. It's just, guess what? You also have a functioning immune system that helps to
Fight
them down.
Yes.
Yeah, it helps to keep them in balance. With all, you have infectious bacteria within you right now. Every single one of us has multiple infectious bacteria. 90+% of the US population has an underlying infection with human papillomavirus, and you may go, I have HPV. It's like, well, honey, have you ever had a wart in your entire life ever? Guess what? That never goes away. We have antibodies to viruses. And that means that when viruses come and talk to us, our immune system goes, hey, Jack, I got you. And I think what was very scary in the messaging of this virus is that this is a novel virus that the immune system has never seen.
Yes. So therefore, just socially distance, stay home. And if you must go out, wear a mask, but nobody talks about healthy choices.
Well, and nobody also talks about how we've had coronaviruses since the dawn of time and that they're always a mix within our normal seasonal virome.
Right.
We're exposed to them all the time. And so the thought that we as humans have experienced coronaviruses for likely millennia and that our immune system just like forgot how to go like, hey, well, that's not the exact coronavirus that I know, but there's something similar there. So let me throw this guy at it and see if it works. We also, within about a month of seeing outbreaks of coronavirus infections, had demonstrated that people could build antibodies in our own endogenous response.
But regardless, call it COVID, call it whatever, it's an infection, and it is a proven fact that you can make choices of what you put in your body to have a stronger immune system against whatever infection may come.
Yes. I mean, really, I am beginning to understand with all of my research and all of my study and all the patients I've worked with that there's really only one root cause of disease, and it's chronic inflammation, which can stem from chronic stress, chronic lack of sleep, chronic malnutrition. It can stem from a lot of things, but when there's chronic inflammation, it drives the body to be out of balance in a lot of different ways. That may manifest as diabetes. That may manifest as as succumbing to an infection and being flat on your back with influenza or with coronavirus for 3-4 days. The other thing that I think is critically important is the value of social connection within human beings. We really need it.
So what do we do right now? Everybody's scared of each other. Nobody looks at each other I'm in Florida, so we're a little bit crazy down here, and we have, we use the mask kind of when we want. I guess it's sort of good, but I'm outside every day. I did a 10-mile walk before sitting down to talk with you. I am a huge believer in getting out. I still say hi to people and talk to people. I have to be reminded about the mask. I almost forget because it's in me and I need energy. I feed off of that energy. Like I'm sure many people, we all different levels, but a lot of people are so scared of COVID that fear is superseding any need for social connection. So what do they do?
Well, there are a couple of things. Number one, if you are afraid, it is okay to be afraid. But I ask you to really sit still with yourself and ask, what am I actually afraid of? Because if you're afraid of death, the Sadhguru says the way to be happy in every single day is to recognize your own mortality. Because then when you wake up in the morning, you're like, holy crap, I did it again.
Yay! One more. Okay.
One more. I get to change my life today if I haven't done it yesterday. And so if you're afraid of death, okay, just the key to unlocking joy within our daily lives is to recognize that our daily lives do not last forever. And so taking that into account, if you are someone who is completely unafraid and are frustrated because you think this doesn't make sense to me, I don't know anybody who's sick. I just don't see why we're doing this thing when we know that there's this thing over here that makes way more sense. Unfortunately, to the best of my meditations, now is not the time for us to speak up. It is not the time for us to create waves. We have seen accounts getting shut down and all the things, and we're seeing videos getting taken down. So if you truly believe in your heart of hearts that health and wellness is within your own hands and that you're not being selfish by making the decisions that you're making because you're not infected, and even the World Health Organization and the CDC have both confirmed that asymptomatic transmission of this infection is not a thing.
Correct.
But it just doesn't make the news. I also think turn off the news.
Turn it off.
A physician.
I know.
I saw a physician post the other day that said, when you're watching the news, you're funding the virus. When you're watching the news, you are replicating the virus. When you are sharing the news, you are sharing just turn it off.
Wow.
Turn it off. Right?
Love that.
Right?
Yes.
So here is my recommendation. If you are frustrated and you feel like this doesn't make sense, my advice to you is focus on the other people who agree with you, because we all feel discouragement at the moment. We all feel like, well, I need people. And there are some of us, like I remember when all of this first started, I told my mom, I said, Mom, why is everybody so freaked out?
Yeah.
And she's just like, well, I think they see people dying, Lindsey. And I was like, well, if I get coronavirus, I get coronavirus. If I die from coronavirus, then I'm on to the next step in the journey.
That was my response. People die. I mean,
yeah.
Not to sound callous, but yeah.
Well, and I think to bring into perspective that I don't wear a mask because I'm afraid, which I've heard a lot. I wear a mask out of respect for other people. Well, okay, out of respect for other people, recognize that you cannot close hospitals and healthcare systems to people with chronic diseases. People who have chronic illnesses like diabetes, like high cholesterol, like hypertension, like chronic anxiety, like schizophrenia, still deserve healthcare.
Yes.
And when that healthcare is denied, look up the stats in one neighborhood in New York during the month of April. Cardiac arrest deaths, at home were up 2,200%. And I've talked to my friend because they won't go to the hospital. Well, I've talked to friends that work in cardiothoracic ICUs, and I'm like, hey, how's your unit? And she's like, well, now that the state has kind of opened up, we have this influx and our beds are full. And I said, what are they full of? And she said, well, we have all these people that 3 weeks ago would have needed a catheterization, and now they need a heart transplant because they sat at home with heart pain, with chest pain for 3 weeks.
Yep.
And so there's always a balance. And the fact of the matter is we are at a critical moment where there's actually hope that by all of us who believe the same thing, that stress, what we eat, sleep, the nutrition that we get out of our food matters. And that human connection matters. We have the ability to band together to raise that awareness. We raise that awareness, and we do it each and every day by showing up for ourselves and eating the right foods and sleeping and doing the stress relief and practicing the yoga and listening to positive input, all of those things. When we do that, it brings other people who do that to us. And I have
even through technology.
Even through technology.
Yeah.
Even through technology.
Use social media to a positive.
Use social media to a positive. I don't have to tell you my opinions about what is going on in the world. I simply have to post a photo. Yesterday, I posted a photo before I ever knew what fans were, what followers were, subscribers, all the things. There was always my fan, Michelle. And she was there for me from the very beginning. She was my constant cheerleader. She engaged with every post I wrote, every video.
Love that. Everybody needs a Michelle.
Everybody needs a Michelle. And so now fast forward 5 years and we finally met each other yesterday.
Seriously?
You know, this is finally, we finally met each other. Yes. So we finally meet each other yesterday. Now, remember, this is a woman I've never met in my entire life. And she has been traveling from her sister's house in Indiana to her parents' house in Tennessee to she's been all over. She's been driving all over. She's been around all these people. She's been around people that were recently in the hospital, old people, young people, newborn, What happens when the first time we see each other? Just huge hug.
Of course.
Like back in like heart to heart, just like, oh my God. I don't have to tell you my opinion about what's happening in the world. I posted a photo of me meeting a woman for the first time in my life, and we are cheek to cheek, and we are hugging, and we are people. And
That's
we are
right.
people. And so may we all not feel the need to go out there because, again, it is my job to meet people where they are. If someone comes in and they say, I feel like I have to wear a mask because I have autoimmune disease and my mom is elderly, amazing. I totally get that. I respect you. And let's work from there.
Yep.
Let's start there. So may we all stop trying to beat each other over the head with what our thought processes are about what's going on in the world.
Totally.
Now is a moment for us to focus on our like-minded people. Whoever your like-minded people are, go and spread some joy and some love and some peace and compassion, and recognize that not everybody thinks like you. They never did. They never did. Why would they now? Not everyone thinks like you. And the best thing that we can do is continue to spread love and joy and care and compassion and peace in the world.
I love this. And you know, you have a partner in your cleanse and a partner that's helping you with all the facets of your being. And that's another thing to remind people is when you say reach out to like-minded people, you know, do some of these harder things that will make you better with a partner.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Having an accountability partner makes life so much better and easier. It just makes things where you go, you know, if you both agree that we're going to do something for 30 days or we're going to do something for 90 days or 100 days or 365 days. And if you both hold each other to it, like if you quit and you miss a day, we both have to start over.
Right.
Well, you don't want to let that person down. You know, you don't want them to let you down, but even more, if you have ethics and integrity and your word has meaning, you don't want to let them down. That would be way worse.
Way
than
worse.
letting yourself down.
Yep. Lindsey, you are an awesome spirit. The energy you're putting into the world to create more wellness. I know, I loved talking to you today and learning from you, and I know the audience does it well. So I wish you personally good health, positive energy, get through this cleanse, girl. No need
I'm going to do it.
Extend it any further though. 30 is good.
You think?
I think
You think there's a lizard
tequila.
crawling by outside. I'll take that as exactly what I love how we're on the same link. There's a lizard crawling outside trying to take me to the desert. And so yes, I will call you when it's over and we're gonna shoot tequila together, Kelly. It's gonna be awesome.
am up for it, and that will be a healthy moment to celebrate.
Oh, so fun.
Okay, girl.
All right.
Good
Thank
energy.
you so
Right back
much.
at you.
Appreciate it.
Okay, peace. Thanks, Lindsey.
Better change up your perspective. It's something new.
Hope you guys enjoyed the show today. Remember our little talk before the show? Yep. Don't forget to subscribe, like, follow, share, all that jazz. It matters, people. You matter. Thanks again for listening. See you soon.